This is Trey Pastor. Welcome to my review of Stargirl, Season 3, Episode 2, Frenemies. And this is Chapter 2, The Suspects. Last episode we saw the gambler was episode was titled The Murder, and the gambler was the murder victim. So now we have to go through the suspects of who could potentially could kill him. There's tons of suspects. You got former ISA members in here, like the Crocs didn't like him. We know the Shade didn't like him. Okay, so those are separate. And we even got Cindy. She was found with the murder, well, with a gun inside of her hand in front of the murder victim. Okay, so she technically is a suspect as well. So we have the the JSA trying to figure out who's the suspects and who to figure out. And we even see them having a meeting with Sylvester and Pat, and we see most of the JSA there except Cindy. Trying to figure out, who would be the most likely suspects. And of course, Sylvester says, "Listen, that's their former colleague. Of course, they could be the ones that any one of them could be the one. Even the Shade, even Cindy, the Crocs. Okay, it could be one of those." And Courtney, Yolanda's trying to point the finger at Sydney. Listen, we found her in front of the body with a gun holding in her hand. But Beth is quick to remind her, listen, she didn't get shot. Okay. He got actually killed by a shot. He got stabbed to death, basically, is what she's saying. And of course, Yolanda reminds him that her name is Shiv. She has that, because her experiments her father performed on her. So technically, so she could have done it. So Yolanda's trying to kind of steer them towards Cindy, but again, they're saying, listen, Cindy. You saw how the trailer was ripped apart. And that's not Cindy's not that strong, okay? And Sylvester brings up, well, maybe Solomon Grundy is. He could probably do that, but Rick is not having that. He said, no, it probably is not him. He's still dead. It wouldn't be him, okay? But the basic thing is they want to go, question the suspects, and that's what Patton's and Sylvester decided to do, to go around town and question some people, okay? And in the meantime, Courtney, she finds the letter that the gambler was gonna send to his daughter. He typed out a letter in the last episode where he apologized to her for not being in her life and not being there for her birth and all that stuff and her first moments and stuff. And he basically apologized for not being there for her, but he wants to be there for her going forward. And that you could tell, when Courtney's in a room reading the letter, that it touches her because again, her situation with her father, her deadbeat father, she really kind of feels for the gambler, especially that that he was actually trying to reach out to his daughter. So that touch, you can see that touches Courtney. And when Pat comes to tell her, let's get ready to go to school, so you can tell she said, listen, I know everybody else thinks the gambler his murder wasn't worth, so what that he got murdered. But she said, I'm going to solve this murder, and also I'm going to make sure his daughter gets this letter, okay? Which is, again, shows you what a good heart Courtney has, okay? That she wants to, do that for the gambler, even though he's dead and he was a former villain. But Courtney has a good heart. And also we see Mike and Jakeem. They basically, he said, listen, if we solve the murder, he's telling Jakeem. Jakeem was kind of a reluctant ally, and Mike is telling, listen, if we solve this murder, we're going to be detectives. We're going to solve this. We're going to solve this murder, and then they'll have to take us seriously. Okay, and you see the Thunderbolt basically. Say, yeah, we're gonna be detectives, yeah. And he even threw in a reference to Columbo, and that he specifically talked about the episode where Martin Landau played the twins, okay, and even brought up how Leonard Nimoy and Martin Landau sort of looked alike, even though they were basically on Mission Impossible, that TV show together, which is kind of, I like they threw in those old school references. Maybe the younger people didn't get it, but I got it because I'm a big fan of Columbo. Okay, and we also see Pat and Sylvester. They go to question the Shade, who actually is getting the perfect bit of tea. Maria has fixed the perfect bit of tea for him, and he's absolutely ecstatic that she fixed him the perfect cup of tea. Okay, and of course, Pat and Sylvester comes in. Of course, Sylvester is like kind of a bull in a china shop, sitting in the forcing his way to sit down and starting to question the Shade and saying that we know that you could have that you had it out for your former enemy. He basically accuses him of killing him, and the Shade is kind of laughing at it, saying, "Listen, if I wanted to kill him, I could have done it." But he said he just basically kind of dismisses Sylvester, because Sylvester tries to play tough guy, and Pat is trying to ease him out, say, "Listen, don't be so." He even grabs the Shade, and Pat's telling him, let go. He's trying to calm him down, okay, and when they get outside, and Sylvester kind of snaps at him, but Pat is saying, "Listen, I'm not a sidekick anymore, okay? And listen, this is Blue Valley. You can't be doing rough. There were people around. People just trying to have a burger, and you're trying to strong arm the Shade in front of people. You got to try to be a little bit more low key and relax and handle it a different way." And then, so Sylvester, kind of rethinks it, and then he goes, "Listen, Pat, I need to cool off and go away." So he goes his own way. And then we do see Icicle Jr. I forgot this guy, what his real name, what the character's name is, but Icicle Jr. He's at school. He's trying to paint, but then he's getting these headaches, I think, from his powers kicking in, and he basically throws down his supplies. And the teacher comes and asks him if he's okay, and he says, "Listen, I'm okay. I just need a break," and he goes off. Okay, so we do see him, and I heard that this season him and Courtney are supposed to get closer. So I'm waiting for an episode where they actually speak to each other, because they haven't spoken together in these first 2 episodes. So I'm looking forward to that character, and I'm also looking forward to the fact hopefully his grandparents actually do tell him exactly what happened to his parents. That I'm waiting to see how that turns out. Anyway, we also see Cindy. She's in her father's lair, or I guess the former ISA's headquarters, and she's experimenting and stuff, and she actually drinks. And she heats up something, and she actually drinks this liquor. What I think she's doing is she's trying to reverse what her father, the Dragon King, did to her. I think she's trying to reverse it on her own, okay? Which is, that's risky and stuff. But she's trying to. I think that's what she's trying to do, okay? And later we find out, she finds out that they had a meeting without her, okay? And of course, her and Yolanda, go back. They have their back and forth. And then Cindy just sits down, and she sits down. She said, "This is another meeting, right?" And she sits down and plants herself there, which I think was funny. And Yolanda's just staring daggers at her. And then later we find out, because Courtney, they're talking about the murder and stuff, and they talk about his laptop. The gambler's laptop is missing. And if you find the person that has a laptop, that's probably the murderer. And then later we see, towards the end of the episode, we see Cindy has the laptop. And I think I know a reason why she has it. Not because she murdered the gambler. I think she has it because she's looking to see if her father, if the gambler has anything connection to her father, the Dragon King, like maybe he sold some of his experiments or something. That's what I think. She's trying to look for a cure for herself. That's what I really think she's doing with that laptop. She's not looking to cover her tracks because she killed the gambler. That's not her reason. I think that's the reason. That's the real reason, which I think was going to come out. And I think Yolanda's probably going to find, the way it's going to play out, I think, is Yolanda's going to find out that she has the laptop, okay, and then accuse her of actually killing the gambler. And then she's going to be forced to admit to her, the other people in the jail, say, "Listen, I didn't steal the laptop because I murdered him. I stole the laptop because I wanted to see if he had any kind of notes from my father, the Dragon King, about the experiments on me, so I can reverse what he did to me, okay? Because I want to be normal and stuff," which I think is going to shock Yolanda and everybody else. But I think that's what's going to come out, okay? And that's going to be her little redemption thing. And I think eventually her and Yolanda are going to come to an understanding. But you have to see it play out. And I think it's good because the actress, who plays Yolanda and Cindy, they have good chemistry together. Okay, and because that's why they're good friends in real life. But they have good chemistry together. Okay, and I like that. I like their dynamic. Okay, later we see Courtney is in school, and she's I think in the middle of the algebra taking a test when Sylvester shows up, and he kind of waves her over. She kind of ditches school, and he basically wants to show her some more things that she can do with the staff that can help her. Now that there's a murder going around, he wants to make sure that she's fully prepared, and he shows her this cool trick that he does where he basically flows all this energy through the staff, and you see his eyes turn white, and he just takes off like a rocket, and you see explosions and stuff, like a big explosion. And that was a really cool thing. And he tries, Courtney tries it, but of course it didn't work for her at first. But he tells her, focus on family, focus on the people that you love, okay, focus on the good times and stuff, and then channel that through the staff. And she does it, and it works, and it's a really cool looking feature. And then later, we find, of course, when they go home, Barbara and Pat is there, and he's telling, listen, you can't just ditch school, okay? You have to let Courtney, have a balance in her life, okay? She has to go to school, and Sylvester kind of, apologizes for that, okay? And later we also do, there's a scene with the Crocs, with the Tigress when she goes to Barbara's office and tells her that she's trying to be straight, trying to go hard, try to live a normal life. She even joined a Rotary Club, and they want her to bake a cake, but she says, "Why should I? I could just buy one." And Barbara says, "Listen, it'll mean more if you can do it." And then later we see Barbara's trying to help her, but of course Barbara can't bake at all, and you see a bunch of ruined cakes on the table, okay, which I thought was a nice. And I like that the Crocs are trying to. And later, I forgot, in the earlier episode, so we see when they show a flashback of when the gambler first got to town, and you see the sportsmaster drives up in his car outside of his trailer, and he's thinking about attacking because you see him with the bat in his car, but he thinks better of it, and then he leaves. Okay, so like I said, you got a lot of suspects. So we got sportsmaster, like I said, even Tiger, and there was a moment too, and Tigress was talking to Barbara. She said, "Listen, it could have been us because we wouldn't have been so sloppy. We wouldn't have left the body there." Okay, which I thought was funny, but true. Okay, and like I say, you also have the Shade, who, like I said, they had an altercation, him and the gambler, the last episode where he basically told him to get out of town. Okay, but like I said, you have that animosity between Sylvester. He doesn't like the fact that the people that hurt the JSA are still in town, and Pat is trying to tell them to calm down. Listen, you can't do things the way with your bull in the china shop type of way. You got to slow down, okay, and let us handle it the right way, okay. And that of course comes into play later, where you see Courtney and Sylvester goes to Shade's house to apologize to him, when he actually Sylvester kind of snaps when the Shade throws some snark at him and he attacks him, and then he tries to apologize, but Shade is just saying, "You should just leave town and just go." And then later we find out the Shade is actually leaving. We think that maybe something is going wrong with his powers, because we saw in the first episode when he was threatening the gambler, his eyes was kind of leaking some of that Shade stuff, so he may be having some trouble with his powers, and that's why he's going to probably not be around for a couple of episodes, which is kind of a bummer because I love the Shade. The actor is great, so hopefully he'll come back later in the season. So, like I said, we have Jakeem and Mike in the bathroom at the school, and he's trying to tell him how to listen. I said Mike worded it because he knows when you ask the Thunderball a question, you got to be very specific. And he tells Jakeem to read this and say exactly, basically asking who killed the gambler. And the Thunderbolt puts a thing on the wall, says he goes by many names. Okay, and so they said, "What is that? This doesn't mean anything." So they kind of blow it off and leave. But I think that means that obviously the person that killed the gambler, it could either be Mr. Bones, who probably goes by other names, or it could be somebody else. Somebody that has an alias, obviously. That's what that means to me. Yeah. When they say the character has many names, the murderer has many names. So that's what I think that is. And later, I think we will be seeing Jay coming back when she's looking for her brother, because I know they hired an actor that will be playing her brother. So I know she's going to come back to the show. And so then probably that's when we see Mr. Bones and all that stuff. So I don't know if Mr. Bones, maybe that's too obvious that it was Mr. Bones that killed the gambler. Maybe it's somebody else, somebody that worked for him or something maybe. So we'll see. But like I said, anyway, this episode, like I said, we kind of went through the suspects, and Sylvester, was like a bull in a china shop trying to go around questioning people. All he did was piss off the Shade, and we didn't see the Shade is leaving town. And, he goes to visit Yolanda and Rick at the end, basically tell them, "No, you keep trying to bring Grundy back." He said, "But I have to leave town for a little bit because I think his powers are going wacky." So he leaves. Okay, and we find out, of course, at the end that Cindy has the laptop, which, again, like I said before, I think she's just doing it because she wants to find a cure for, what her father, the Dragon King, did to her, experimenting on her. I think she wants to reverse that. Okay, and I think that's most of everything that happened in the episode. Yeah, Sylvester has to calm down. Shay left. Oh yeah, the Crocs. Again, we think that they kind of made them suspects because you see that Sportsmaster went to visit him and wanted to kill him, but he didn't. And then of course we hear the Tigress telling Barbara that if it was us, we wouldn't have left the body. so just give you a list of possible suspects, and of course we see Icicle Jr. His powers are really starting to affect him, and I think towards the end of the episode we saw his grandparents, tell him there's much more to you than a simple painter and stuff. So eventually, I thought they told him last season, but obviously they haven't really told him yet. So hopefully we'll find out soon that they'll actually share to him what happened to his father and stuff, and his powers and all that stuff. Okay, so again, we got a bunch of suspects. We know Yolanda has not Yolanda. Sydney has the laptop. Okay, which I don't think that means she didn't kill the gambler. Okay, and like I said, Sylvester has to calm down. And again, we don't know because he kind of explained it in the first episode that he just woke up in his grave basically and dug his way out, and he doesn't know why he got resurrected. So maybe that's another mystery to find out who resurrected Starman and why. So maybe that's Mr. Bones. Maybe he did it for some whatever reason. But anyway, that's it. It was again another good episode. Okay, it's getting interesting, like I said, because Sylvester is he's kind of a wild card there, and then of course we have that the JSA is still kind of in flux because Sydney wants to be a part of the team and stuff, but sometimes they exclude her. And then of course we got Artemis who wants to be a part of it as well. So again, we had a murder, so we still don't know who did it. Okay, so that's that that mystery, and we got the suspects, and so I guess we'll go on from there. Anyway, let me know what you think of this episode 2 of Frenemies called Chapter 2, The Suspects. What do you think of it? Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, While Views and Opinions. Check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon, and I want to say a special thank you to my Patreon. Like I said, the link to my Patreon is in the description box, so you can check it out for yourself. Also have a link on my Patreon. I have the unedited reaction, not yet, but I'm going to put it on my Patreon of this episode on my Patreon. Episode 2, it'll be unedited on my Patreon. Follow link to the Patreon, only $5 a month. I have tons of content on it, tons of unedited content, tons of TV shows on there. I got She-Hulk, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, Flash, WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, What If, Obi-Wan Kenobi, tons of stuff. Follow link below to the Patreon, only $5 a month. Check it out, and you'll see it unedited on my Patreon. Okay, also please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long, and take care.